When one fullback goes forward, the other one is already thinking about defense. When one overlaps, the other one is calculating risk. And in 5 seconds, both of them might change roles at least twice. I recently made 2 videos analyzing play-by-play the role of a creative 10 and a central defender. People loved it and asked for a fullback video. Let's do even better. We'll do both fullbacks at the same time. Scene 1. We'll start the play just after the build-up. We're crossing the half-point mark with a ball from our 6 to our left 8, who received it on a half-turn facing the left winger, in a standard 4-3-3 formation. Immediately, the left fullback steps forward. Why? Because the 8 meets a triangle. The ideal triangle for the 8 is actually with the winger and the striker. But the striker is too far, and also that side is heavily pressed by the opposition. So the fullback pushes forward. Now look at the shape. We started with 4-3-3, and the moment the fullback pushes high, we're no longer with a back 4. The opposite fullback slides inside, and we form a temporary back 3 there. Without announcing it, we are in a 3-4-3 formation. This is how soccer has been played for the past half century or more. This pattern of one fullback pushing forward while the other one slides into the back 3 is not new at all. But let's go back to the left triangle here. There are some quick decisions to be done. Option 1 is that the 8 will ideally pass it to the winger, who then has a 1v1 against their defender in the wide area with a free space in front. But their defender is positioned well, close enough and in the passing lane to intercept a direct pass, but far enough to prevent a through pass in behind. So then the option 2 is that the winger is dropping deep to pick up the ball. This is against our general objective of going forward and also makes the fullback roll harder by moving exactly where they wanted to go. So this should be the last option for the winger. Option 3 then is what smart wingers do, knowing that the direct pass or a through pass are both impossible. They will actually cut in to receive the ball with their body shielding and their momentum moving them towards the center of the field. Then they can look for a striker or even the 10 and the other winger. All of this is because they had free space and they took advantage of that. The important side effect, the space that they are leaving, must be attacked by the fullback. If they do an overlapping run, then the opposition fullback will have a hard time defending both the winger and the fullback. Otherwise, it's still a 3v4 in the last line. This way, our fullback disturbed that 3v4 and is actually giving us an advantage. Option 4 for the 8 is why the fullback came here in the first place, to provide support. Let's assume that the 8 didn't like the other options and decided to pass to the fullback. Passing back to the center back will be even worse because it's regressing us instead of progressing, and passing forward would be just too risky. This is almost neutral with the fullback having momentum going forward. And that takes us to scene 2. The left fullback receives the ball. Most players, especially at youth level, will try to drive forward here. But look carefully. There's no advantage to exploit. Numerically, we don't have the advantage. Positionally, the opponents are well positioned between their respective attacking players and their goal. And dynamically, we're even at a disadvantage because our winger is starting to come back just to receive the ball pinned down by the fullback. Well, it's possible that our fullback can dribble past their player or deliver the perfect pass for our striker up top. The risk of failing to do so means losing the ball and probably in our own half, the momentum going against us. Inexperienced young players can become anxious and restless to take a chance and attack forward, even if they understand the danger. It is important for them to understand that it's okay to do a simple back pass to the 8. Move the ball quickly to displace the opponent. It may look like nothing has changed, but that's not the case. Now the 8 had a moment to check their shoulder and receive the ball facing the other way. The defender has shifted slightly, giving some space for the 8. The body position has improved since then. The tempo increases. The fullback was not trying to beat someone. He was trying to improve the angle. This is something players misunderstand. Sometimes your job is not to progress the ball immediately. It's to reposition the ball so somebody else can. Meanwhile, the opposite fullback is still sliding, adjusting depth based on the striker and the far winger. He has not touched the ball, but he's working hard. And that takes us to scene 3. The 8 manages to turn with the ball and then find the 8 on the opposite side. And the game shifts. Traditionally, what would happen? Left fullback drops deep again. Right fullback bombs forward. Everyone sprints across. The 3 players on the right, the 10, the striker, and the right winger, will not want to wait for the fullback to come here. And even if they come here, so what? They just made a 40-meter sprint before even being the factor in that play. But do we actually need that? Look at the structure. If we move the fullback towards the middle, we now resemble a 3-2-2-3, or if we prefer, a modern version of the WM formation. The back three is intact. The midfielder central, three across the front. If the right side already has the 10, the winger and the striker creating pressure, does the right fullback need to overlap immediately? Not necessarily. Movement is not automatic, it should be conditional. If the overload already exists, pushing forward adds little pressure and increases risk. So he holds. At this level, intelligence reduces running. The 40 meters were covered collectively as a team. Each player did 4 or 5 meters, not one player doing 40 while the teammates just wait for them. So in scene 4, now the play develops heavily on the right side. The 10, the winger, and the striker combine. The defending team reacts. The right winger drops in the middle, tracking our left fullback. Their left winger drops deep because they see the danger and were asked so many times by their coach to help on defense. Only one striker remains high. Let's pause here. Now the far side fullback, the one who started on the right, sees something important. We are numerically superior on the defensive line. There's no real counter-attacking threat. So instead of staying wide, he inverts. He moves inside and pushes up. Why? Because there's no need for a wide defender in rest defense anymore. We need central control, not a 3v1 in our last line when the ball is all the way on the other side. And this temporarily creates something like a 2-3 shape in deeper build-up. 2 defenders, 3 central players, and front line ahead. This is not a tactical fashion, this is arithmetic. If the opponent leaves only one striker forward, you don't need 3 players guarding them. Fullbacks are constantly doing this math and calculating the risk. And finally, for scene 5. With all the danger concentrated on the right side, the ball is then switched to the left winger. Now look at the picture. He's alone with their marker, quickly trying to close them down. This is the moment the left fullback makes a different decision. Earlier, he played safe. Earlier, he inverted. But now he underlaps and pushes forward. If the opponent fullback has already reached our winger, then the underlap will create urgency for them to drop and assess the danger. If the defender is still shifting to that side, then the underlapping fullback will slow that shift, leaving more space for the winger. And finally, if the underlap is successful and the fullback receives the ball inside the penalty area, then we have our job done for the team. The objective of all the tactical work is to get the team in a goal-scoring opportunity, not to actually just score. What happens at that point cannot be predicted, but our objective is to give the opportunity to our team to score a goal. At that time, the right fullback is recalculating the danger. We're not in a 2-3 formation anymore. We're in a 2-2 with the 6 shifted a little bit to the left and the fullback helping in providing that line of support. With the left fullback making a run and the 10 still being in the front line, the player who needs to be aware of potentially helping to drop back is the 8. The fullback and the 6 will do this calculation regularly, constantly, because they see the entire field in front of them and they're not under pressure. Then they will need to communicate that urgency or tell them that they can stay up. But notice something important here. If the opponent suddenly pushes their winger high again because they anticipate a possession change or simply because they lack the defensive discipline, then our positioning changes immediately. The fullback will need to drop. The structure returns to a back 3 and we bring the 8 in a 3-2 with urgency. Everything is flowing and nothing is fixed. And if you need to take only 3 lessons from here. Firstly, fullbacks do not just follow one pattern. They react to problems. Secondly, when one goes, the other one compensates. They're not independent players just playing their own game. They're a connected system. And number 3 is that formations are snapshots. In 5 seconds, we move from 4-3-3 to 3-4-3 to 3-2-2-3 to a temporary 2-2 structure. But the principles stay the same. Create and assess options, maintain robust defense, exploit overloads, avoid unnecessary risks. If you're a fullback, start thinking in terms of overlaps and underlaps. Start thinking in terms of numbers and work together with the other teammates, especially the other fullback. If you're a coach, stop coaching only patterns. Start coaching players that use their brains in systems. Because the best fullbacks in modern football are not just runners, they're decision makers. And in 5 seconds, they might solve more tactical problems than anyone else on the pitch. If you enjoyed this breakdown, the attacking midfielder and the central defender versions are linked in below. Next episode, maybe the winger. Let me know.